I just want to share with you a little story about one of my patients who I saw a few years ago. She was a middle-aged lady who was having really bad problems with her skin, And it was really clear to me that stress was exacerbating those skin problems. And I would talk to her about ways to reduce her stress. And I suggested a morning routine. And she said, "Doctor, I don't have time for that. I've got 2 young kids. I've got to get them ready for school. I can't be doing any of this stuff in the morning." And I said, "Well, could you give me 5 minutes?" She goes, "Well, yeah, I could do 5 minutes. I don't think that will be a problem." I said, "Okay, well, let's create you a little 5-minute morning routine." I came up with a framework that I call the 3 M's: mindfulness, movement, and mindset. And basically, it can be really simple, but I think a really good morning routine, if you have time, encompasses these 3 things: mindfulness, movement, and mindset. So what's mindfulness? Well, it's kind of any practice that helps you pay attention. It could be some breath work, it could be some meditation, it could even be having a cup of coffee in silence and paying attention to every sip rather than watching the news or scrolling Instagram at the same time. Now, the second M is movement. Can you do something that involves a bit of movement first thing in the morning? It can be some hip stretches, maybe some of your favorite yoga moves. You could lift some weights or do a little strength workout. Whatever works for you in your life. And the third M is mindset. Anything that you can do first thing in the morning to put you in a positive frame of mind. Remember, if you look at the news, you're going to have negativity put into your brain first thing in the morning. And actually, a lot of our thoughts and our beliefs about the world are downstream of the information that we consume. So if you consume negativity first thing in the morning, is it any wonder that your thoughts also tend to be more negative for the duration of the day? So anything you can do for mindset is going to really help. It could be journaling, or it could be something as simple as reading a few pages of an uplifting book. So for 1 minute, she did a breathing practice that's called the 3-4-5 breath, which we'll be learning about shortly. For 2 minutes, she did some of her favorite yoga poses. And then for 2 minutes after that, she said positive affirmations. I'm happy, I'm calm, I'm stress-free. And she repeated that for 2 minutes. And I'm not kidding you, it was absolutely transformative for her. Within a few weeks, she came in saying she was feeling calmer. Her skin wasn't flaring up as much. She felt better about the state of her life. Now, can I say it was all that morning routine? No, I can't say that for sure. But what that little morning routine did for her was show her just how calm she could feel. Instead of getting out of bed, quickly going into social media and getting her kids ready, she gave herself some time for herself. And within days, that ripple effect kicked in here. Because since she started doing that 5-minute morning routine, she then started to go out for a 10, 15-minute walk every lunchtime. She never used to do that before. But one small positive change very quickly leads to other small positive changes as well. The 3-4-5 breath. You breathe in for 3. It's just a count of 3. Right, so you breathe in for 3. You hold for 4. And you breathe out for 5. In fact, why don't we give it a go now? Make sure you're sitting somewhere comfortable, and I'll count you through it, and pay attention and see what happens. Okay, so breathe all the way out, normally. And now I want you to breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And now breathe out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how do you feel? What happened? Do you feel any different? You see, sometimes when I do this with my patients, or I'm in a room full of people and I encourage them to do it, you often find about half the group starts to yawn. And it's not because the breathing practice makes you tired. It's because many of us are so stressed and we're pushing so hard all of the time that actually, when you allow it to switch off with a simple breathing practice like that, you start to realize how tired you actually are. It's not the breathing practice that's making you tired, it's just exposing what was already there. Other people say that they actually feel really calm afterwards. But it's very, very powerful because think about it. That 3, 4, 5 breath takes 12 seconds. You can do 5 of them in 1 minute. And a 1-minute practice of 3, 4, 5 breathing can be absolutely transformative. Always, if possible, I would say try and breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. But I do recognize that many people, at least at first, find that a little bit tricky. So the practice works perfectly well if you do it through your mouth. But if you can, I would say, do it through your nose. The key thing to remember is that any time your out breath is longer than your in breath, so we're breathing out for 5 and only breathing in for 3, so your out breath is longer than your in breath, anytime that happens, you start to switch off the stress half of your nervous system and promote the relaxation half instead. This is that second M, movement. And what I do in my own life, after I've done some breathwork and meditation, which helps me with my stress levels, I come into my kitchen in my pajamas and I make myself coffee. And then I set a timer for 5 minutes because that's how long I like my coffee to brew. Now, in those 5 minutes, I don't go on my email. I don't go on social media. I do a strength workout in my kitchen. And then I get the beautiful rewards of a hot cup of coffee made exactly the way I like it. I've found a way to make strength training a part of my life. And honestly, I would say over the past 3 years, I have rarely missed a day. Why have I rarely missed a day? How do I make it easy? It's only 5 minutes. I don't need to get changed. I do it in my pajamas. These things, they may sound unimportant, but actually they're really, really important. If I had to go and find the right clothes to wear, put my gym shorts on, find my trainers, you know what, some days I may not bother. But because I'm there in my kitchen, in my pajamas, and I'm making the coffee, that's a habit. And because I have a coffee every day, I do a strength workout every day. So perhaps this is something you can think about in your own life. What do you do first thing in the morning? Do you make yourself a hot drink, for example? Could you introduce a 5-minute strength workout to your morning routine? Whatever works for you. So when I started doing this 5-minute kitchen workout, it was just a series of simple bodyweight exercises. Press-ups, squats, lunges, calf raises, tricep dips. It's very easy to watch videos online and learn how to do them. They can be easily modified for all ability levels. A press-up, for example, can be done on the floor. But it's actually quite hard to do a press-up on the floor unless you've got quite a high degree of strength. But if you do a press-up against a wall, it suddenly becomes a lot easier. But I can assure you, it's really not that difficult. And actually, many people find it really, really enjoyable. Why I'm such a fan of journaling, why I do it regularly in my own life, is because journaling starts to create a space between your thoughts and your actions. And in that space, we start to make better decisions. We start to feel calmer. We start to gain perspective on so many different aspects of our lives. Now, journaling absolutely does not need to be complicated. So I'm going to try and simplify this process as much as I can for you. Now, the simplest way to journal is what I call free-form journaling. Let's say you wake up in the morning and make yourself a cup of tea. You just sit there and you just write for 5 minutes. Anything that's on your mind, you just write down on a piece of paper or in a journal. Now, that can be so powerful for people. Now, just remember, you're not writing to show anyone. You're not editing a book manuscript to show to your editor. This is for no one else but you. You just write things down. And what's incredible, when people start to do this, I'll often report back, wow, I've done this for a few days and there's 3 big things in my life that I was worried about that I had no idea. And that's the power of journaling. You basically get these thoughts out of your mind and literally put them down onto paper. You're basically clearing your mind through the act of writing. So that may be a style of journaling that you want to give a go. Now, some of my patients find that too open-ended. They prefer a little bit more structure. And so a few years ago, I created an exercise that I call the 5-step release for some of my patients, particularly those who struggle with anxiety. All you have to do when you have a bit of time, and I think first thing in the morning works really well, is you just answer on a piece of paper 5 simple questions. Number 1, what's one thing I'm worried about today? 2, what's one thing I can practically do about it? 3, what's one reason I know I can probably handle it? 4, what's one reason it probably is not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be? And 5, what's one upside of the situation? Now, it honestly takes 2 to 3 minutes to do that exercise. And for some of my patients with anxiety, it's been absolutely transformative. Why? Because it gets those thoughts and worries out of your mind and puts them down on paper in front of you. So you can calmly assess, you can have that newfound perspective. And that's why I think journaling is so powerful.